Hello and welcome to the book club, Gustavo's online book club, where we are reading Food is Climate by Glenn Mercer. And today is our last session, sadly, but it won't be the last time that we see Glenn. Today we are covering chapter 5, which is the last chapter, and we have a special treat. And we have a guest. I want to put all of us on the screen. Hello, Glenn, and hello, Tracy.
Hello, Gustavo and Tracy.
Hello, everybody.
Very good. Well, thank you, Tracy, for being here today. And we really are looking forward to your recipe. Tell me, what is it that you're going to show us?
So I'm making something from the book. So From Food is Climate. There's some great recipes in here, lots of different contributors, which is really cool. I love being part of this group, and I'm really honored to be part of this. So thank you, Glenn, for writing it, and thank you, Gustavo, for highlighting it.
Sure.
So I'm making the Mediterranean wraps. It's the baked Mediterranean wraps. And part of it is this really great dip. So you could use a hummus or, something store-bought, but you can also make this amazing Mediterranean white bean dip, which, in fact, I gave the recipe to a friend, and I saw her yesterday, and she couldn't say enough about how much she loves it. So I'm excited to share it.
Okay. Well, let me tell people just a little bit about yourself. Your name is Tracy Childs, and you're just super passionate about healthy food, and you have embraced the plant-based lifestyle after first becoming vegetarian as a teen and then a vegan as a young adult. And Tracy is dedicated to spreading the message of how plants and lifestyle choices can heal the planet, protect animals, and help us avoid needless suffering from lifestyle-related diseases. She is co-founder, chef, and director of Tracy's Real Foods, a whole foods, plant-based company that ships healthy goodies nationwide. And that's wonderful when I saw that, because the other day someone was asking me about a service like this. So now I know where to send them. She's a certified nutritional consultant and holds a certificate in plant-based nutrition from eCornell. Tracy has also taught nutrition and cooking for over a decade as a Food for Life instructor certified with the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. And she is a cookbook contributor. She contributed over 100 recipes for the book by David Cater. And of course, she has some awesome recipes here in Food is Climate. So Tracy, tell us on what page this recipe is.
Okay, so it's on page 103.
103, okay.
Yeah, we'll be starting. Well, I'll be starting on 104, which is the white bean dip.
All right. Well, do you mind either now or maybe as you're cooking, if you have, that time when you're doing something and you can talk about something else, telling us about the service that you provide, shipping food?
Sure. Yeah. Okay. But let me get going with the recipe, because I'm sure a lot of people are here to see amazing food and learn. I know I like to do that too. I mean, I've learned so much just from watching people on YouTube and watching demos. So what we're making is these wraps. So I wanted to show you. This is using an Ezekiel tortilla, and you can see that I got it nice and crispy. And I just used the regular toaster oven for this. So you can use an air fryer, but it has some yummy stuff inside that I'll show you. But let me go ahead and start over here with the Vitamix and these lovely ingredients. If you can see the ingredients, let me see here. Get it a little further away. or closer, further away. Yeah. So we're going to use some white beans. There we go. Some white beans. These are, you can use cannellini beans or Great Northern beans. We're using some sun-dried tomatoes. We're using some hemp seeds. You could use tahini. You're just wanting something healthy fat and also making it nice and creamy. We're using some balsamic vinegar, some garlic. So let's see, garlic over here. And then some white miso and lemon. So it's sort of like a hummus, but a little bit different in that we're using these white beans and some special ingredients. So, you know, hummus is usually made with chickpeas, but I'm going to use these cannellini beans. Oh, we got cannellini. These are Great Northern beans. So I like to cook them myself, but, you know, for convenience, I always keep cans around. And you can use a can and just open that up. Drain off the liquid. You can save some of the liquid just in case you need it. I like to add my liquid ingredients in here. So this is the balsamic vinegar. This is the lemon juice. So I'm going to just add 1/2 of the lemon. So I love the mixture of these two flavors in here. Most hummus will have lemon, of course. And we'll go ahead and add this is a 1/4 cup of hemp seeds. Hemp seeds are a great source of plant protein. They're also a great source of omega-3 fatty acids, anti-inflammatory. So, you know, really great to include in recipes when you can. And then this is going to be miso. I love sneaking miso in instead of salt. You know, miso is a high salt ingredient, but if you guys follow Dr. Greger, I've seen videos and studies that have shown that miso, for whatever reason, doesn't raise your blood pressure the same way that salt will, which is cool. So I'm going to go ahead and add some garlic now. Let me see if you can see. I use this is a meat tenderizer, but I use it to squish garlic and to just get the peel off. So I get the peel off. And yeah, we like a lot. So I'm going to add 2 big cloves here, but you know, it's up to you. So this is raw garlic. Raw garlic is very, very good for lowering your blood pressure, good for your heart, good for cancer prevention. Okay, so I'm going to add this and our rosemary a little bit later. So I want to go ahead and blend these ingredients. So this is my old school Vitamix. So as Gustavo mentioned, I went plant-based as a young adult. So I'm going to age myself here, but that was in 1990. And that's when I got this guy, my trusty Vitamix. So let's see. So let's go ahead so I'm going to go ahead and just see if I need any more liquid. So I'm going to go ahead and blend for a little bit and see. Yeah, so I do. So I'm going to go ahead and add this bean cooking liquid, reserved. All right, so you know, I got it fairly smooth. You know, how smooth you get it depends on how you like it. I like a little bit of texture. So now I'm going to go ahead and drain my sun-dried tomatoes. So it's important that you, if you're following an oil-free diet, which I totally recommend, get the sun-dried tomatoes that are not stored in oil. if you do end up getting them, you can, drain it and rinse off some of that oil. So, if your sun-dried tomatoes are fairly moist, you might not need to soak them, but a lot of times they're really dry and hard, and so you want to get a nice, more flavor out of them. So, now I'm going to go ahead and add, I'm in California, so we got rosemary everywhere. And so I'm going to go ahead and add about a tablespoon of my rosemary. So just go ahead and take off about that much. You can use dried rosemary, but if you can get the fresh, I really recommend you use the fresh. It's so much more flavorful. So I'm going to go ahead and add that in now and just blend again. But I'm going to blend briefly so that I can have some of that texture, some of the chunks. Okay, so let's go ahead and just see what it looks like. Here. There we go. So this is the base of those wraps. So of course, you don't have to make wraps with them. You can just eat it on your sandwiches instead of mayonnaise. Put it on your bagels. Use it as a dip for all your fresh veggies. There's so much you can do with a nice dip. And of course, what's it have in it? It has white beans. It has the beans. It's got a great source of calcium, protein, iron, fiber, all this good stuff your body needs. And it's delicious. So that's the exciting part. I always tell people, it's like, I wouldn't eat this way. I mean, I do want to eat this way for the planet, for the animals, for my health, but it'd be really difficult if it didn't taste good. But it does.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what people need. Once they find that out, like they just get rid of those animal products, the whole new world can open up. So, yeah, isn't that amazing? So, all right, so we got our dip. Now, I just talking about my business here. I do make cheeses, and this is a vegan cheese that I make that is amazing. We're going to start shipping these. We don't ship our perishable stuff yet, but we do ship cookies that are made from lentils. Do you believe it? I love sneaking beans into things.
Yeah.
And Glenn's tried them. And when you get back to the States, Gustavo will have to send you some.
I have to taste that.
Yeah, they're all whole food, plant-based, based on dates, lentils,
wow.
and oat flour and all the good stuff. But all these different flavors. I also have granolas, and speaking of omega-3s, I have pizza crackers with flax. These is amazing granola. And then my latest product is Superfood Easy Oats. So this has got chia seeds in it, and it's oats, and it's made with my granola and spices. And so all you do is put this in your bowl, put milk, put some kind of soy milk on it or hemp milk or whatever you like, and you got your breakfast. I always have.
Yeah. Well, that's great.
Yeah, I thought this is something a little different that people might not have on hand. So. All right, so to make our wrap, just to show you again, this is what we're making, the finished product. So these are the wraps I like to use. And then, I like to make them, different ways. this is my pizza wrap, my Mediterranean one, but you can also make this Mexican with black beans and salsa, you know, different spreads, different things. If you make a cheese sauce, a nacho sauce or something, you can do that. So I'm going simple here with my ingredients. So for my wrap, so here we have some corn. This is just frozen corn, frozen peas, olives, grated carrots. I'm always just going for things that'll cook quickly because I'm really only cooking this for 10 minutes. So I wouldn't add, you know, like some raw onions unless I, you know, really like that. But I actually like my onions to be very well cooked. So, and then I'm going to put some mushroom. Let's see here. So just to show you technique a little bit, you know, cut it in half. This is a really big mushroom. So just get some nice slices. Okay, and so to make the wrap, it's just like making a regular wrap, but I put it in the oven. So, and I use kind of different things, you know, obviously I wouldn't use like romaine lettuce or cucumber on this. All right, so you can see the beautiful sun-dried tomatoes and rosemary, and you spread the whole thing. Let's see here. Spread it all with that. So then I just start adding my ingredients. If you wanted to, you could add a little baked tofu in here or just regular tofu. But I'm sticking with the veg. So I'm going to go ahead and add my mushrooms. I always add everything kind of like on one side, the side closest to me. So I add my mushrooms. I'm going to go ahead and add some of my frozen corn. And I was saying, you know, I like to, when I get all this stuff out, even though it's all very simple, I will lay out on my cutting board a lot of these tortillas and make a whole bunch because they're amazing, leftover, frozen, refrigerated. They're great cold, right out of the fridge. They, you know, they're good after sitting, and all the flavors meld together even better. So, no, this is just your grated carrots. So just, you know, keep it simple or not, whatever you like. Now I love to top it off with arugula. So arugula, a lot of people don't realize arugula is actually a cruciferous vegetable, which means it's high in calcium, plant-based calcium. It's great for getting excess hormones out of your body. I'm going to put some olives on here. These are just sliced Kalamata olives. You know, this is all just pantry freezer friendly. And then I like to top it off with some pizza sauce. That's what's going to make the flavors just really pop. So, you know, just some jarred pizza sauce. And I just drizzle that over the top here on top of that arugula. Okay. And then just get a little knife. I call this like the Subway move. Not that I go to Subway anymore. Hold everything together. And then just turn it over, like hold and push. There we go. Push it all in there and get it all firmly in and get her done. So then I'll get my baking sheet and I put parchment on. There's a little bit of excess here. Grab that. And that's that, you know. So then I just lay down a whole bunch of them. I'll put, you know, like 3 or 4 or 5. And, you know, we're on the go a lot. We're running out the door to go, you know, deliveries, cooking. You know, we're in the food business. And so it's all, our lives are crazy. We're just doing all different things all the time. So, I just love this recipe for that reason. And, you know, for schools, for kids, you know, you could make, oh my gosh, kids will love these. And what's great is these wraps, you know, these are whole food plant-based. And if you can get them, you can probably order them too if you can't get them near, but I have them at Trader Joe's. They're at Sprouts. I think they're frozen at Sprouts. but they're amazing. They're really good, and they hold together. Just freeze them. Okay, that's my tip too. Don't put them in the fridge for days on end or a week. Freeze them. I keep them frozen. They come apart very easily when I open up the package, and then I pop one in the toaster oven, or you could put it in the microwave. I put it in the toaster oven just for maybe 10 seconds, and it softens up nicely so that you can, so it's pliable, so that you can start to work with it. So, yeah.
Very good. I just love wraps, so I really appreciate this.
Okay, good. And if when you get the book, I recommend that you try the tofu steaks too. That's another one of my, you could put the tofu steaks in here. That's one of my go-tos also. Just, I love these recipes that I have memorized. I don't need to get the recipe book out anymore.
Yeah.
I put it a few times and I make them and I'm good to go.
All right. Well, good.
I want to recommend that people try Tracy's Real Foods cookies, because I'm a customer and those are fantastic.
Okay. All right.
Thank you. Yeah. He's had the cookies. He tried them. You can get little packs, and he got all those to try, and he found his favorites. That's what people do. They find their favorites, and I'm just grateful that we can ship them. And there's just a lot of people that are just looking for that treat, and they want to have something that's guilt-free, and we'll have it on hand. They freeze super well too. So
people can order these from your website?
Tracy'sRealFoods.com. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, you can order on Tracy'sRealFoods.com. And it's pretty easy. And you can always email us if you have any questions, nutritional information with each product. So
yeah. Okay. Well, I will be ordering when I'm back in Dallas in May.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah. I definitely.
All right. Well, thank you so much for having me on, and I'm excited to hear your discussion now about this topic.
Yeah. And I want to thank Tracy, because not only did she contribute some recipes to the book, she helped organize all the other chefs who contributed recipes. She was my chef organizer.
Yeah. Okay.
And everybody was so thrilled to participate and also be part of the team with promoting the book and the message.
Yes. Well, thank you, Tracy. If you don't mind, you can turn off the camera and the microphone, and we'll finish. And thank you again.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And Glenn, we are ready to sadly, we're finishing, but I'm sure you have a book that is going to come out in a few months, or maybe at the beginning of next year. Whenever it is, we want to share it here in this platform. So
thank you.
That's
going to be a book that I'm going to do with, and Tracy's going to do the recipes.
Okay, very good. Well, I am, and I really like your page 54 and 55 of the book, because you really outline the plan. Like we were talking last week about how vague the recommendations can be to deal with this issue of climate change. And because, of course, any politician is not going to be popular if they say don't eat your hamburger. But you definitely are very specific. And I do want to just read this one paragraph here that I think it's just brilliant what you propose. And I think we just need to do it. We need to get you to the White House. So let's see. I will suggest here again the remedy that I suggest in on your health. So you say, first, we must end farm subsidies, saving over 20 billion annually, which are effectively subsidies directed to animal agriculture. Second, we should institute a slaughterhouse tax, a dairy tax, and a fisheries tax designed to double, triple, or quadruple the cost of flesh foods and dairy, a fraction of the true costs these foods impose upon the world. We should also seek an international moratorium on industrial fishing. And then you go on and you explain how, I think you do, I read it here or in another page, how we can use those funds. So tell us now in your own words. I mean, I like this because you are not like, how can I say? You're not saying, okay, we need to totally eliminate animal products, although that is the goal. I understand, but it is more. It's easier to grasp to say, well, yes, most people now don't smoke, but a few smoke, you know. And if we could get to the point where 80% of the world is not consuming animal products, I think we would be doing really well. And those who want to, they can pay the real price that these products, cost the environment and health. So tell us a little more about it. I'd like to hear.
Well, this is something of a dream scenario for now because there are no people in Congress talking about doing this. But the idea is that if we tax animal agriculture for just a fraction of what it really costs us, because when the nitrogen fertilizer is flowing off the land and then destroying our rivers and our streams and creating dead zones in our oceans, how do you even begin to assess that cost? And when it's contributing to climate change and to forest fires and to desertification, how do you even begin to assess that cost? And when property values go down because of the stench of the manure from the chicken farms and the pig farms, how do you begin to assess that cost? So at least let's tax them as much as we can, just like we do with cigarettes. People smoke much less because of the cigarette taxes. So if we tax animal foods, tax meat and dairy, we could make it more expensive. We could make it more expensive for people to eat those products. Now, of course, some meat and dairy eaters out there will be objecting now. Why are you making my food more expensive? Well, because we want you to be healthier. We want you not to eat so much of that stuff. And remember, the tax dollars, once you generate tax dollars, they could then lower the income tax if you want to lower other taxes. You can have something one candidate called for last year was a basic universal income, and money could be sent to all Americans. So when you tax something that is harmful, then the money that's generated from that can be used for things that are helpful. So that should be the goal of smart tax policy, is tax what is harmful, like the use of fossil fuels, like meat and dairy, like cigarettes, and then take those funds and use it, whether it's to rebuild bridges or for education or for lowering income tax rates or for lowering the deficit, whatever. There are good uses that money could be put to, but let's tax the things that are harmful. And meat and dairy are harmful. So let's accept the reality that they are harmful and that they should therefore be taxed.
Yes, and you mentioned about cigarette because of course there are a lot of similarities that we're going through uh, fighting this this battle in the times when cigarettes were popular, and you mentioned how people are not smoking as much, perhaps for the cost, but also there is more awareness because there's been campaigns and informing people of the dangers of smoking, and also because at least most doctors have stopped smoking, or they don't recommend smoking, because if you look back at the 50s or somewhere in there, I've seen advertisements with doctors saying, "Smoke this cigarette. It's better than that one."
There was a TV commercial. There was something like 2 out of 3 doctors who smoke recommend Marlboro.
Yeah.
Well, they'll be saying the same thing about meat. Look, in the future, we'll look back and we'll say it was just as foolish to recommend meat.
Right. I mean, but I can see why it is difficult for doctors to tell the patients to not eat meat and dairy when they are eating meat and dairy every day.
Exactly.
So, yeah. Now, Glenn, what do you say, or what would you say to somebody that says, "Well, yeah, this is all good, great, but you do drive a car and you do take planes, and they want to start an argument that, of course, is not
that even though I, as a vegan, I'm not eating meat, but I'm contributing to climate change by driving a car." Yeah. Well, first of all, I do drive an electric car, so I'll give myself credit for that. But second of all, the argument I make in the book is that we cannot possibly anytime soon reduce our use of fossil fuels to zero. Fossil fuels are used to heat homes. They're used for cooking. They're used for transportation. They're used for manufacturing. And it's a fantasy to say that it's going to zero anytime soon. That was the premise of Bill Gates's book. We have to get it to zero. Well, how? And one of his solutions was carbon trading. Well, how do you trade carbon if nobody's using it? So we're not getting to zero anytime soon on the use of fossil fuels. And for the last 30 years, the climate spokesman and the governments who have been trying to address climate change have said we need to reduce our use of fossil fuels. And after 30 years, we're using more fossil fuels than we were 30 years ago. So yes, we need to reduce fossil fuels. But the reality is that if we stop eating meat and fish and dairy, if we give up animal foods, then we can reforest so much of the earth. 37% of the earth is given over to grazing. Another 6% of the earth is given over to growing food for animals. So that's 43% of the earth that we can rewild and reforest. And those forests sequester carbon dioxide, and it doesn't matter if that carbon dioxide is coming out of a tailpipe or a manufacturing plant. So we can sequester the carbon dioxide that comes from our use of fossil fuels, and we can still burn some fossil fuels. We need to burn less. We need to reduce it. I'm not an apologist for the oil industry, but we can still use some fossil fuels, as we will, whether people listen to me or not. We can still use some fossil fuels as long as we do the one imperative: stop eating meat. Stop having any animal foods.
Yes, and not only that, but like we've mentioned already several times, taking care of the oceans.
Yes. The oceans are being destroyed by industrial fishing. There are some other insults to the oceans, like plastics. So there are a lot of things we have to look to improve the oceans. But the industrial fishing, they have mile-long nets. They dredge along the bottom of the ocean. They kick up sediment from the bottom of the ocean. They disturb reefs. They're trying to extract all life from the seas. Now, if you think about it, even if you ate fish, why would you want to extract all life from the sea? You know, it's a suicidal operation. Mm-hmm. So even if you wanted to occasionally have fish, you still should support what I would call for, which is a moratorium on industrial fishing. You know, at very least, I mean, I want to stop it forever, but at very least, let's let the oceans heal for 10 or 20 years and you know, get the oceans back to a sustainable basis. And then we're sustaining the phytoplankton populations that also sequester carbon dioxide and generate oxygen. All right. So, and seed clouds. So we need healthy oceans, and we need healthy forests, and that's the only way we beat climate change. Otherwise, the planet will melt.
Right. Glenn, what do you see yourself doing, now you've written the book, to propel this forward? I mean, are you going to keep writing about this or talking about this, or will you start a movement? Or I mean, what's the future?
What's the plan, huh?
What's the plan?
All right. Well, there are a lot of unknowns there, but I am thinking of doing what Al Gore did. Al Gore started a slideshow and took it on the road. I'm thinking of doing a presentation that others then would be able to use, and to make the case that the only way we can win this battle to save the planet, the only way we can meet the climate emergency, is to do what's really the easy thing: eat human food. You know, it isn't easy to give up all forms of heating and transportation and, you know, manufacturing. It isn't easy to say to the airline industry, goodbye. Yeah. But it's very easy to just eat human food and get healthier. So the only side effect of the solution that I and so many others are proposing, the only side effect is greater health and longevity. So, you know, there are no social goods attached to eating meat. There are none. There are plenty of social goods attached to the burning of fossil fuels, transportation, heating, cooking. But eating meat has no social utility whatsoever. It's just a negative. And it also gives us pandemics. Mm-hmm. So it's just, you know, sometimes, Gustavo, I think, how can people be so foolish as to keep eating meat in spite of the fact that it gives them heart attacks, it gives them cancer, it makes them obese, it gives them diabetes, it gives us all pandemics. It's a little bit unbelievable, and it's the worst jobs in the world are working in slaughterhouses. You know, so why would you want to keep those jobs?
Well, I call it food amnesia. People have food amnesia. They just forget. Either they hear this information about, oh, well, in the next meal they're back to eating flesh and decaying flesh, like Dr. Goldhammer says. And well, I don't know, but I feel like we really have made a contribution through these webinars, reading your book club. And if you ever do a presentation, we want to know so we can promote it as well. Or we
Thank you, Gustavo.
Do it live here, this setting. So thank you very much for writing the book, and then for being present in every session. that's a real treat, because sometimes when I feature another book, I usually have the author one time or maybe 2 times. But thank you for being with us.
If you do Charles Dickens, he doesn't show up at all.
No. So someone is asking, do you happen to know how long it has taken for Chernobyl effects to go away?
Well, they haven't completely gone away. That's why it's, Chernobyl was recently occupied by invading soldiers.
Exactly.
And there's the risk that they can, stir up the entombed radiation there. But the soil is not healthy there. But what is interesting is that Chernobyl was a city of over 100,000 people that had to be evacuated. That has not happened elsewhere on the earth. So it was a city of 100,000 that was evacuated. And what has happened in the interim is that the forests have come back.
Yeah.
The wildlife, in spite of the radiation, the wildlife has come back. It is a rewilded area of the earth. So we don't have to do that with cities. We just have to do that with the grazing land.
Yeah.
Rewild the grazing land, get the cows off the land, the sheep off the land, and rewild it. And the forests, the vegetation will come back and save the planet.
Right. Well, I look forward to another book club in the future. I will myself take a break of 2 weeks, and then on March 20th, I will start a new book club featuring Dr. Ornish's book, Undo It. And when it's ready to sign up, for everybody who's watching here, you'll receive an email from me so you can participate. All right. Well, good night, everyone. Glenn and Tracy, thank you if you're watching there for being with us. And we'll see you all later.
So long.
Okay. Bye-bye.